Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How you doing? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, here you're fine. You sound great. I sound good on this end?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool, man. We're here with Chris Kidder, everybody, comedian extraordinaire. Has been doing it for a couple of years now. It's got a great blog, The Comedian's Journey. Also, he's the host of the Kidder and STINSON Project, which is a pretty cool podcast. And you do all kinds of stuff online, man. You're like on YouTube. You do a lot of stuff, dude. You unboxings and things. That's how I think I first saw you. Was
Yeah, I do all kinds of weird stuff. The comedy, the creation on the YouTube channel, I've slowed a little bit. Didn't stop it forever, but just slowed down a little bit because when you get really busy and you got 10 different avenues that you're working on, if you try to do all of it, it all kind of falls a little short. I feel like I kind of go through this roller coaster of like, okay, now I'm working on this new set that I'm writing, so really got to focus on the writing and getting out. And then it's like, all right, now I need to shift over to creating some videos. I've been, we did season 1 of our podcast. Now we're in season 2. I have 2 seasons of Kidder's Comedy Corner, which is an online streaming game show with comedians and pop culture and all that. I'm in the works with pre-production on that show, but doing it live here in LA at one of the big comedy venues here in Los Angeles. Nice. But it'll be a live game show interacting with the actual audience who are there to watch comedians get up. And yeah, so just doing all kinds of stuff, dude. And then also to top that, we're in pre-production for the pilot called Kidder. So yeah,
dude, man, you got a lot. You got a lot going on. I first started seeing you. I forget how exactly I kind of discovered you. It had to be on YouTube or something, and it was with the comics journey, because you were kind of just starting out, and you told everybody, look, I'm getting ready to do this. I'm green. I'm new comedian, but you're gonna learn with me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered what goes on stage and off stage in the life of a comedian? Maybe you or someone you know thinks, I could do stand-up. Let's find out.
And I love that. I love that idea of taking the journey with somebody and watching them evolve. And we did get to see that with you quite a bit. And how has that journey been, and how have you evolved, would you say?
Yeah, man. Great question. Yeah. So when I was new at this, I'm the kind of person who I love learning by getting my hands dirty, but I also always, when it's something where it's a huge risk, I tend to be the type of person who's like, you know what, let me dabble in it by taking a class. I feel like that's a little less risky and more informative. Like, let me learn a little bit about the world before I really go jump in the deep end. So that's what I did. I got into comedy and decided to take a class with this guy named Greg Dean out here. He's a fantastic professor of comedy, and kind of dove into that world and immediately went to YouTube. I think a lot of us go to YouTube to learn stuff, whether you're trying to build a table or trying to learn about gardening or whatever. We all jump into YouTube. So I started doing all these searches for comedy. Well, of course, all these big comedians came up with their sets, or a joke or 2 jokes. Wasn't too many like big specials on YouTube available, but just stuff for you to watch. And I was like, well, okay. And there's guys on there teaching you how to write a joke, but like, I want to know what it's like to be a comedian. And I just couldn't find anything. So I started doing videos about the journey. Like, hey, I'm new. Let's learn about comedians. Like, let's go see what it's like to be in the green room. Let's go see what it's like to be, a night on the town. And I just started. So when you watch some of the videos, it's like, here's how you properly hold a mic, trying to come, with a fun way of explaining some of the do's and don'ts, but also, hey, here's a night out on the town kind of a thing. And wanted to explore that.
I did a set where I actually used it to bump into it. It worked out really well.
And I looked at her and I lunged.
that became very difficult and challenging, bro. I'm not gonna lie, just because I don't have a camera crew, so it was a lot of like, let me bring some gear out with me to clubs. Some of the clubs were like, you can't bring that in here. So it was like, oh, okay, now I'm I'm nobody. And you know, if I came in and I was like Dane Cook or one of these big, if I was Chris Rock or something, they'd be like, oh yeah, come on in with your 10 guys with the film crew and everything. Sure, no problem. But when I was just, having to pay my way into certain comedy clubs and trying to schmooze my way into comedy clubs, they're like, dude, you can't bring a tripod in here. You can't bring a professional grade vlog camera in here with, because then they're afraid you're going to be filming comedians,
other acts and stuff.
Yeah, which I get it, but I was just getting kind of roadblocked. So I tried to work around that and do as much as I could,
And it's cool too, because when you're going out and about and you must have like some kind of editing background. I know that in your bio you said that you work behind the scenes and some productions and stuff like that. Are you an editor by trade? Like, what do you do? Like, what was it?
I'm a self-taught editor. So I've spent countless hours on Final Cut or iMovie. iMovie is the most basic, but it's super easy to use. Final Cut's definitely more challenging, but I'm self-taught on there. So yeah, a lot of the stuff when you watch on my YouTube, I've had a lot of compliments. I've had a lot of people out here in LA ask me like, oh, hey man, you do editing, like, can you show me how? I'm like, no, it's $2,000 a day. I'll show you how. That seriously is my rate. It's the first thing that come out of my mind or out of my mouth when I get asked. And no one has copped up the $2,000. I'll pay it. I mean, you want a master class and how to do Final Cut in a day? Like, I'll give you a 10-hour day for $2,000. You know what I mean? So,
there you go. You walk them through it all. And
yeah, of course. I mean, dude, I spent countless hours learning it myself the hard way. So, that's my price. I feel like I'm worth that if someone's willing to pay it. But other than that, yes, I've been in the film business 18 years. But I've been doing set lighting.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So that see, for me, I'm an editor by trade, right? That's what I do. That's why I came up, mainly in sports and like video boards and jumbotrons and stuff for the in-game experience. But when we go on shoots and we're doing headshot day or media day with the players, lighting is always my biggest weakness. I always have a lighting guy come in and do it. I mean, this 3-point light, most basic, but I mean, lighting that can make the difference in a production, man.
1,000% it can make a difference, man. I mean, I'm a lighting guy, but look how horrible my lighting is right now. You know what I mean? It's like, I think like you're the one who's like, your weakness is lighting. You look beautiful. You probably got some nice ring light or whatnot. I'm just sitting here. This is horrible. I have the professional lights in here. I just didn't turn it on. I don't know. Like, it's a lot of work. And when you do it as your day job, like, I don't want to do it at home either.
they always say that the shoe man always has holes in his shoes.
Always has holes. Yeah, exactly, dude. Did you ever see your dentist open his mouth and it's just like, it's like, dude.
You don't want to be bothered with it when it's what you do all day long. Yeah, you got to take a break from it, man. But yeah, dude, like I like the style too. When the way you edit, it flows nice. So that all of your videos, they're informative, they're entertaining, they're fun to watch. You have kind of a zany type of persona sometimes, which I think it helps sell what you're doing as well. And and that's why when I was reading your bio and it said that this altercation at Starbucks is what changed your life, I was like, oh, he might have a little dark side to him. He might have a little edge going on.
It's funny you say that. I do. Part of this show that we just got done writing, we wrote 10 episodes. And we're in pre-production for the pilot. A lot of it, you hear my inner voice, my inner monologue, and it's angry. Like, I'm a very angry person. Not that I want to be. I love people. I love life. I'm goofy as hell, and I think a lot of that comes through in my videos. However, I've been found running off ramps in my flip flops to smash windows and break cars. Dude, it's just. I think honestly, okay, let's go back to it. Starbucks. Okay. Starbucks. I was in this line to get a coffee, my $5 coffee. And this lady decided to gap me and cut the line.
Oh yeah.
Now, mind you, she had been behind me for the last 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh wow. And then she just went.
Her car was around me. I left a gap so people could pass because it was a left-hand turn lane.
Right. Right.
Or, left turn. And I left a gap so people could get through. And she decided to whip around me and then fill that gap. And so I got out of my car because I think that's what most normal people do. I got out of my car and I confronted her, and she ignored me, and that, kind of infuriated me a little bit. But then I, tapped on her glass and stuff, and then she gave me the finger. And so I started walking back to my car feeling defeated. And then when I got back to my car, I was about to get in. I turned and saw this kid was like, she was probably 18, maybe 19. She was driving mommy and daddy's Mercedes G-Wagon.
Oh yeah, yeah. So she's
entitled,
rich kid. Entitled. Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm always taken advantage of, and I see people get taken advantage all the time. And then just real quick, I saw red. And can I swear here?
Yeah, no,
okay, sure. yeah. But basically, I was like, "Fuck this bitch," and I turned around, ran over to that G-Wagon, and proceeded to rip the windshield wiper blade off the car. I don't know why. Like, what's I gonna do, really? I mean, it was so petty and so stupid. It's super embarrassing. And the more and more I've told the story, the more and more I'm like, dude, maybe I should just not say the story because I sound like such an idiot.
No, dude. I mean? Yeah. I totally relate. I think me and you are cut from the same cloth. I have issues with that too. I think that's what makes, if for whatever reason, us turn towards comedy is to have, because we are. I think I'm a nice guy, but when you push me, and then you're gonna lose it. And I see the same type of thing with you, and I've been there. And there's nothing worse than the aftermath of that, when the Hulk kind of goes back to Bruce Banner. And you realize what you've done,
all the collateral damage that happened. And yeah, I mean, dude, like, to be honest, like, I got back. Here's the thing. I ripped when I ripped it off, I sliced my fingers because of the blade. Like it's rubber, but the way I grabbed it and pulled it, it came across my fingers and cut 3 of my fingers, and I was bleeding pretty bad. I got in my car. Now I feel even more defeated. With a little bit of like, fuck you.
Right.
But then, my hand hurts. There's still 10 cars in front of me. I'm not getting my coffee for at least 30 minutes. You know what? Screw this. I'm out of here. Drove away. And about 3 hours later, I got the phone call from the police, from the Burbank Police Department. And I was like, yeah, he goes, "Hi, this is Officer so-and-so." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "You know why I'm calling?" And I was like, "I'm assuming it has to do with the incident at Starbucks this morning." And he goes, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Would you like to tell me your side of the story?" And so I explained to him. I said, "Look, it was petty. I did tell him I got out of my car, and I told him what she did. And I was like, I just, it's all bubbled up inside. People take advantage of you. They feel entitled, all this." I go, I honestly, I kind of like unleashed, and I go, "I'm really embarrassed about it," and everything like that. And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Well, we'll call you back if we need to talk to you more." And then like 3 months went by. 3 months. I'm like, okay, well, I guess, nothing.
You thought it was gone.
Like 3 months later, I got a thing to go to court. So that $5 cup of coffee, which I never received, cost me $6,000. So.
Wow. So what did she sue you for damages? Obviously of the car, and what else? Like,
no, not at all. It got taken to court. They were coming after me with a misdemeanor for it was like public. It was called public something, and then in destruction of property. So I was like, okay, and so I got a lawyer. The lawyer cost me $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So the lawyer cost $5,000 to get that, basically to go through a 1.5 year process of getting that reduced to nothing. It basically became an infraction of disturbing the peace, which is the same as if you have a party at your house, and it doesn't say anything about it. So it's not like someone could look it up and be like, oh, Kidder, he's a horrible person.
Right. It's not on the record.
But,
Yeah.
no, it's just like, oh, Kidder has an infraction in Burbank for disturbing the peace. They're like, oh, probably had his music playing too loud or something. Whatever.
Right. Exactly.
So got that reduced. We tried to pay the damages. They never responded. They didn't even show up to court once.
Oh, so you never had to face her again?
No, I never had to face her. So it was absolutely absurd. And then $1,000 for the classes I had to take. I had to take 26 hours of court-ordered anger management, folks.
Oh, yeah.
I was in there with people who've done 20 years in prison and had like 10 hours of anger management, and they slapped me with 26. So my my lawyer said they were making an example of me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, it is what it is.
Were those anger management? I've done anger management as well through the years, and they never really got me much. For me, I remember one. I just literally every time I went there, they just made me close my eyes and picture a beach and just like solitude, and it was just like
no. Our anger management class pissed me off. I was in there getting angry. What are you doing? I go in there and they're like, oh, welcome to the class. Would you like to tell us your story? I tell them my story about Starbucks. They're all laughing the whole time. And then the teacher, her name's Maria. I love her. Hi, Maria. She goes, all right, class, do we have a nickname for Chris? And I was like, what do you mean nickname? She goes, oh, everyone gets a nickname that suits the crime. And I'm like, what? And then a girl goes, I think we should just call him Starbucks. And so for the following 25 classes that I had left, it was always like, hey, Starbucks, what's up, man? Hey, Starbucks. Hey, Starbucks.
Wow.
There was a chick named Kneecaps, and there was a chick to my left called Baseball Bat. These were some hard ass bitches, and I'm in there. Starbucks.
Just Starbucks.
But Don, that got me into comedy. So that's how I found comedy.
How did that catapult you into comedy? How did take me through that? Like how was a transition from that into comedy?
So I'm married. I've been with my wife, my beautiful wife Yvonne. We've been together over 20 years, and so she's seen my highs and my lows. This was definitely one of the embarrassing lows. And she's like, Chris, you go from 0 to 100 like in a second. She's like, you have these outbursts of rage. She goes, look, you should go seek therapy. She goes, she's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but she's like, it could help. She goes, you know what? She goes, go do stand-up. She goes, I go, stand-up. She goes, yeah, go do stand-up. She goes, comedians are always on stage talking about their pain and working their shit out, and like maybe just get up and talk about it.
Hi, I'm Chris Kidder. I just went through a midlife crisis. I know, right? And I dove headfirst in the deep end of stand-up comedy.
And my wife, she used to hang out with Fluffy, if anyone knows who Fluffy is.
Oh, yeah. Gabriel Iglesias.
We know it's you, sir.
Yeah, her best friend used to date Martine, which is Fluffy's best friend, and they used to go to all these comedy clubs and stuff. This was, a few years before I came into the picture, and so my wife she loves stand-up comedy, and she's been exposed to a lot of it, and she's like, go do that. She's like, I think you would really enjoy it. And I was like, and the more I thought about it for weeks of going to this anger management class, I thought about it more and more and more. And then there was a dude who was new to our class, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm a comedian by trade and blah, blah, blah. And so I talked to him. I was like, you do comedy? He goes, yeah. And then he told me about, the stand-up comedy class, and how, he suggested 2 different comedy professors that I should talk to. And it's like, just come out to some mics and stuff like that. And so that's where I started going down that rabbit hole, and I fell in love with it, man, real quick. A lot of you guys have bucket lists. I have a bucket list. A list of shit I don't want to do.
It is therapeutic, right? To get up there and kind of vent sometimes, or make your pain into, make them funny. It's easier for you to deal with as well. So is that helping?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was therapeutic because I didn't really know what to talk about, so I did get up and do more ranting than anything. And again, like I said, I'm not generally just an angry person, and I didn't want to become like the next Lewis Black and like be up there and be like, you bastards, just like be up there screaming and pointing my finger at people and shit like that. Dude, like I don't need a heart attack in the next 10 years.
Right.
So I was like, so quickly I learned like that's not what I want to be on stage. And even though we all have that anger side of us, of our personality, I just didn't want that to be the focus. And as a comedian, like one of our things, one of parts of our journey is trying to figure out our voice. Like really, who are we on stage? And I've really enjoyed that process. Quickly, I've been going down this road of discovering my voice, and it's really leading towards like a Tim Allen from Home Improvement Tool Time, of just this goofy dad always in the thinks that he's right. My character comes across like that on stage. I'm always right. I got the next best idea, and then it backfires. I end up being the butt of the jokes, that kind of stuff. I talk mostly about family life. I did all the dirty stuff for about a year and a half ish, maybe 2 years. And then I quickly started going, well, do I want to make a career out of this? And I said, yeah. And so I started really talking to a lot of comedians who've made it bigger or more seasoned than me. And to really make money and get picked up, you have to be less risky. And the best way to be less risky, because they don't want you to come there, they hire you for a gig, hey, we'll pay you $1,000 to come out. We're going to fly you out, put you in a hotel, all this stuff. And you come out and you'd be like, I hate gay people. And if you say that, and then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like what is this? We didn't hire you to do this. And now all of a sudden people will never come to their shows again or never come out to their venues and stuff. And that's not what I want to be. You know what I mean? And I realized like, okay, what do I want to talk about? And I'm like, dude, I love my wife. I love my kids. I like the life we created. And it's funny. My wife is hilarious. My kids, hysterical. I just get up on stage and talk about that, being a dad and these goofy ass people. And let me share that. And it isn't just always about them. I talk about my own personal stories too. And there's a lot of then and nows, and but I don't want to get up and do. I don't want to do pedophilia jokes or rape jokes or dick jokes or pussy. That's what a lot of comics do. And it's fine. It's just not my style.
It's funny because like you talk about your evolution as a comedian. What did you start like 2019 or so, and 2020 really
get 20. Yeah. I want to say 2018, the end of 2018, and my first show in 2019.
And it's cool because like you said, with the journey and stuff like that, seeing the evolution of you, and you just talked about it. It feel like a lot of new comics always want to go the dirty route. They always want to try to be shocking, or they want to be like, they're trying to be edgy, and and that has now become a dime a dozen. There's very few jokes they're going to say that are going to shock you anyway, or that are funny in that route. So it's cool to see that you've kind of discovered yourself through the comedy and what's important and where the jokes are. And you always pull from what and what better than your family and your kids, and then having that character. And I also think too, having a little bit of that edge underneath the goofiness really pulls strong stage presence, because you got likability factor for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. But it's like, look, Don, I mean, I could sit here and do jokes all day long about my fleshlight, and you could relate because you got 3 fleshlights under your bed. But it's like, I mean, come on, dude.
How'd you know? How do you know? No, I'm just kidding.
I think they said the average.
Yeah.
The average middle-aged man has 3 fleshlights statistically. I think I have 7. But it's like, dude, we can all talk about that. Dude, here's the thing. I go to the Improv a lot, and you go to the store, the Laugh Factory, go to their open mics. And a lot of these comics, they get it. I think they get in this groove of becoming a comic. Like They forget that there's someone in the back of the room. It's still an audition. There's people watching from that club to see who's the next person we're going to bring into our club.
Right.
That's what it is. At the end of the day, it's a club, right? And like, are you going to fit in with the roster we are putting up on our Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday shows? Like, do you fit in? And then these comics go in there and they try their material once and they realize the entire room doesn't laugh. You can hear a pin drop. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Here's the thing. You're doing it in a room full of jaded comics who don't want to hear about your kids. They don't want to hear about you having to go to court. They want what's going to make them kind of open their mouth and go is when you do your pedophile joke.
Right.
Because you shocked them. You said something so vile. They've never heard it before that they're willing to go, ha, ha, ha. But then the person in the back room who really matters is turned off. They're like, wow, that's I definitely don't want that person getting up at my club and saying that and offending some of the people in the audience. And then they never want to come back to the Improv again or never come back to the Laugh Factory again because that person was such a risk. You know what I mean? And so yeah, you have to keep that in mind when you get up and you do your shit. It's okay. There's a time and place to be dirty. And some of my favorite comedians, like I love Ali Wong, and she's raunch as hell, dude.
Yeah,
Raunch as hell. But she's sexy as hell. You know what I mean? And it's like, I love it, you know, and there's a time and place. But also you got to have perspective. I feel like someone like Ali Wong or Eliza Schlesinger, even Whitney Cummings, some of these ladies get raunchy as shit, dude. Sarah Silverman, raunchy as fuck. But they have a very, we call it the invisible man in the room or invisible person in the room. Like they don't realize they're being raunchy. If you really listen to their character, like what's it about Ali Wong? She's this cute little Asian girl who's supposed to be, Asian women are supposed to be submissive and supposed to be quiet and conservative and stuff. And she comes out and she's talking about, delivering a baby out of her vagina and like, while drinking a beer. It's just stupid shit, dude. And it's like, whoa, what? You're not supposed to say that, woman. Like, what are you talking about? Sarah Silverman, what is it? She talks about this time she was in the kitchen sucking her man's dick and dipping his dick in peanut butter. And she's like, man, I'm becoming my mom. Like, who says that? You know what I mean? It's like, what is wrong with you, woman? But it's such an interesting perspective. Most girls, they get up and they're like, oh, why can guys be blue and girls can't be blue? And it's because you're not bringing anything interesting. And not saying that the guys are either.
Right.
But for the most part, comedy is a guys' club. And so there's a lot more guys supporting guys, and they hear a dick joke and they're like, ha, 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 yeah. And then a woman gets up and the room's 90% men. A woman gets up and goes, ha, ha, cottage cheese fell out of my vagina. And guys are like, what the fuck? That's nasty. What is wrong with you? You know what I mean? And I bring that up because these are specific examples that I've heard. And I'm like, wow, ooh, yeah, gross. And it's like, that's not funny. It's just, are you the most vile, the most shocking? Sure. That doesn't get you an HBO special.
Yeah, they get wishy-washy on where the jokes are too. So they see, like you said, a Sarah Silverman or Whitney Cummings or whoever, or for guys, they'll see, whoever, Dice Clay or somebody, and they think, oh, that's my road, I'm going to be that guy. But to your point, and there's a saying about it, you don't want to step over $1 to pick up a nickel, and that's kind of what they're doing when they're performing for their friends, essentially trying to make these guys laugh, but they're forgetting about the important guy, the club owner, the booker, sitting in the back of the room has a bigger picture in mind. And they're like, this guy's not right for our Saturday night showcase if he's going to be talking about, cottage cheese falling out of the pussy and stuff. Yeah. So I there's a lot of truth to that, man.
I'm trying to currently, Don, I want to get past at the Improv. I'm not past at the Improv. And for anyone who, I'm sure your audience knows, but if anyone who doesn't know, getting past means like you become a regular. You call in for spots and they're like, oh, hey, Kidder, what's going on? Yeah, we got a spot for you Thursday night at 8:00. You're going to get 10 minutes, right? And then you end up showing up that night and doing your spot. I'm trying to go through that process. They have an open mic at the Improv every Tuesday and Wednesday night. I've been going again. I take an observation role a lot. So I've been going for months, and I wouldn't put my name in the bucket. I was just going watching. I want to see what are the comics getting up and doing.
Right.
9 out of 10 comics get up there and go for the raunchy shit right away. There are a handful of comics who go week after week, and they have family stuff, or maybe it's just edgy stuff, but it's funny. And I'm like, all right, that's what I want to do. And so I started putting my name in the bucket, and then that's a whole nother thing. Like, you go put your name in the bucket, sit there for 2 hours, hoping your name gets pulled, and then it doesn't get pulled. Finally, my name got pulled about 5 weeks ago. And if anyone who doesn't know, the booker there is, her name's Rita. And she's in the back of the room on her computer. She's always taking notes. She's paying attention. Are you, what kind of comic you are? Who are you? Your name and all that. She's in the back of the room. I get up and I proceed to do my 3 minutes of jokes about my son and my daughter, mostly my son in this case.
Right.
And when I'm done, you could hear a pin drop. No one's laughing at my stuff. Again, I don't give a shit. It's not about any of you in the room, because the room is just all comics. And then the host comes up and he's like, he goes, "Nice job, kidder. Nice job." He goes, "I'm just gonna let you know this room is not too keen on breeders." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Breeding? You guys don't breed? I recommend breeding," and a couple people laughed at that. And then I proceeded to walk off the stage. About 10 minutes later, I saw Rita walk out of the room. She went outside. She likes to go outside and every 20, 30 minutes or so, take a break. So I walk out there 2 minutes after her, and I walk out. I know who she is, but I have never met this woman before in my life. She looks at me in my big afro that's sticking up. I got my pick in it and everything. She looks over at me and she's like, "Kidder." And I looked over at her and I just smiled and kind of waved. And she goes, "That's a great name." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I was like, "Oh, have we met?" And she's like, "No." She's like, "I'm Rita." And I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you." I went and shook her hand. I'm Kidder. She goes, yeah. She goes, "I saw your stuff." And I was like, "Oh, what'd you think?" And she goes, "Honestly," she goes, "I liked it." She goes, "Maybe pick up the pace a little bit." She goes, "I'm the booker here." And I was like, "Oh, I have heard you're the booker." And she's like, I was playing dumb, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, do you have any advice?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Just pick up the pace." And she's like, "Honestly," she goes, "I don't know who the hell you are." And I was like, "Okay." And she's like, "I just haven't seen you." She's like, "My advice, just keep coming back." And I was like, "Awesome. Sounds good." I walked away like, dude, honestly, I was just happy she remembered my name. And she saw my face, said, "That's Kidder," and put the two to two together and shouted it out loud from 20 feet away. That got me excited.
That's awesome, man.
That's
you got, like I said, you got the likability factor, plus when you're hard to forget, especially when you got the afro going, and I see like on some of your videos and pictures and stuff, you wear eccentric clothes. I don't know if you always wear the eccentric stuff on stage, but you stand out, and then you got the name, and then you got the material to back it up. You're like, you said Tim Allen, but you also have like a little bit of like Steve Martin type of vibes going on.
I've gotten that. I'm pretty physical on stage. I have big eyes. I had a show last week here in North Hollywood at a comedy club, and I wore this stupid shirt that has like a cat riding a shark, and the shark has a rainbow spewing out of its mouth, and the cat's holding up guns. It's absolutely absurd. Like the shirt, I saw it and I was like, I got to own it. You know what I mean? And I decided I'm going to wear that. So I put it on, and I was here at my house. The place is only 10 minutes away. So I was like, I was kind of getting ready, just trying to get that energy going and I try to look in the mirror a lot and just practice faces and stuff like that. And I always think of like Jim Carrey. Like, I love Jim Carrey, but I'm not Jim Carrey. Like, he's the man with the rubber face. I mean, the dude can just like do all kinds of crazy shit with his face. You know what I mean?
It's Clint Eastwood.
But yeah, exactly. But I like trying to look in the mirror and like get my eyes really big, like they're bulging out of my head, and just because when you're on stage, my stories, I talk about our daughter catching my wife and I like, hearing us. And like, I don't swear and I don't get graphic, but I allude to certain things. And, but like by selling that, I got to be on stage and I'm like, and I make these faces and just, pause and like, kind of breathe and, turn to the side so the people on the side can see me and stuff. And that took a little getting used to, because there's a lot of silence there while you're making your faces, and all of a sudden someone in the back of the room will laugh and then another person will laugh, and then you realize, like, play with it a little bit, give them time to really absorb what's going on.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it starts rolling through. But yeah, I've watched a lot of Steve Martin stuff, and I like the physical humor. I like Kevin James. He's big on stage.
Yeah,
I like physical comedy. Because now, I mean, you see me, we're sitting here talking, I move around a lot. Like, I'm like that. And I used to be deathly afraid of public speaking, like terrified of public speaking. And it was a very long 15-year journey to get me to be able to actually get on stage and do comedy. But one of my mentors, I had a mentor for public speaking. She said, when you get up on stage, you shake a lot, and it's my adrenaline running through my body and the nerves. And she's the one who suggested, okay, when you get up there and you're doing your public speaking, move. She goes, move around. I want you to move, pace the stage, look at the people over here, and then walk across casually. You're making it look like you're
right, like frantic. Yeah.
But you're transferring that energy into your muscles throughout your body while you're breathing. And it's just technique, and you learn it over time. Well, when I get up on stage, comedy, it's no different. My heart still pounds. About 2 minutes before I'm about to get up, the adrenaline starts kicking in. I realize I have to start taking these deep breaths with my nose and my mouth, and I can feel my heart rate picking up. And then when I get out on stage and I start moving around, I get that first laugh, everything disappears. Like, I don't even feel that anymore, but I like moving around. If I just sat there on a stool and tried to hold my mic, you'd probably see the mic start doing this. And you're like,
right.
hey, this guy got Parkinson's? Like, what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? It's just my nerves would show in that case.
Right.
I think over time that would settle, but I actually like that energy. I like it because it transfers into the physical side.
Yeah, it's like who you are, having that energy, kind of, that vibe, and people feed off of it, so I think that's a good thing, and how to control it, which is nice, whether you're pacing the stage or whatever, however you're working it through, but you're aware of it. And being self-aware is a huge advantage, because a lot of people don't have that. And you also are coachable too. You're listening to the comedy coaches, you listen to your, the public speaking coaches. So, and you're taking in all this advice even on your podcast, when you're talking to comedians and they're telling you different strategies and things like that, or, so I think that's why you're climbing like relatively fast. I mean, you're making it happen, man. You got a lot going on.
Thanks, dude. Well, one of my recommendations for anyone listening to this, if you are willing to take advice, is always find someone who's better than you at something and go hang out with that person.
Right. Yeah.
I was doing that when I was younger. I used to hang out in billiards. I used to play pool with my friends, and I realized very quickly that they didn't give a shit. For them, it was just about getting together, having a beer, hanging out, and that's it. For me, I realized I really enjoyed playing pool and 9-ball and 8-ball and all that kind of stuff. And I was sitting there calling my shot and stuff, and they would go hit the ball. I was like, did you call it? And they're like, nah, dude, like it went in. And I'm like, fine, dude, like fine. Good thing we're friends. And then I very quickly started talking to people. I'd see someone really good and be like, hey, you want to play a game? They're like, yeah. Started learning from other people who were better than me. And that's carried my whole life. Anything I'm into, if I really get into it, I want to talk to the person who's really good at it, if they're willing to have a discussion with me and learn from them. And comedy is no different. I found this guy that I really liked pre-pandemic. His name's Miguel Rojas. Shout out Miguel. Hilarious dude. But saw him do his joke, saw him destroy the room over at the Ice House here in Pasadena, California. And I was like, wow, dude. Like, he told this big elaborate story, had his callbacks, all this kind of stuff. And I was just blown away. Away. Talked to him a little bit afterwards. Super nice guy. After that, kind of just disappeared. During the pandemic, we were all stuck at home. right? And that's when I really started putting my business degree and my networking skills to hard work. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start reaching out. I'm gonna create a show online. Started hitting up Miguel and asking him questions about comedy because I know he's at home. He ain't doing shit.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know you're at home. So started calling him up and hitting him up, and him and I just hit it off really quickly. And now we're close buddies, and we write together. We're writing partners. He's one of the partners on this this television show that we're working on, and he was so good that I wanted to learn. But here's the thing. He started giving me advice. Oh, when you go up on stage this next time, try this. I'll get up on stage and try it right away. I don't care. I'll try it.
Right. Right.
And then it either works or it doesn't. And he's come to me and said, dude, I'm always going to sit here and help you out. You know why? Because you take some stuff, you don't take everything, but you take some stuff, you try it, and then we sit there and we do an analysis. How did it work? How did the crowd respond to it? How did you feel about it? Did it really work into the story? You know, so yeah. And I've seen people come to him and ask him for advice, and he's really quick to help people and be like, yeah, you know, try this. Oh, I really like this. Try this tag. And then they get up on stage and I'll be there with them. We'll watch the person and I'll hear the advice they gave them 4 days earlier. And they'll get up and do the same exact shit they did last week without trying anything. And he's written people off. Like, dude, piss off. You're wasting my time.
Right.
Like, don't waste my time. Don't come to me and ask for advice and not take any of it. And just, you know, and then come to me and ask like, oh, why aren't they laughing? Why aren't they liking my stuff? Well, dude, like, you're not coachable. You're not even trying. You know?
Exactly.
So, man. I mean, find a mentor. You know, I had a mentor in public speaking. Now this public comedy mentor, and I hope to get other comedy mentors over time. You know what I mean? Just because I'm 43 doesn't mean, like, I've had younger guys look at me and they're like, and I try to ask them questions because I know they've been doing comedy for 5 years. Well, listen, if you've been doing it for 5 years, you've been doing it longer than me. So I start asking them questions. And they're like, oh, well, you've been doing this for like what, 10, 15 years? And I'm like, no, dude, I started 4 years ago. And they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? I go, yeah, like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, how are you getting these shows? Because I'm networking. I'm talking to the right people, saying the right things, and I'm hustling.
That's it, man. And that's what a lot of these guys don't get about the network and the hustle side of it. They think that, you know, however they perform at the open mic night or, you know, local bar or wherever the comedy is out here on Long Island, we have a lot of bar gigs, but we also, I work at Governor's Comedy Club. But getting discovered, you have to put yourself out there, you know, and you have to network and you have to be seen, and people, you know, word of mouth goes a long way too. Like now that booker knows your name, Kidder, she's going to say, hey, have you ever heard of that guy Kidder? He comes out, you know, he's got the hair and he talks about his family and this and that. He's freaking awesome, you know, and that's how it works. Sometimes there's times where you might get lucky and get discovered on the street or something, like, you know what I mean?
Sure. But I mean, you have to, you know, you can always call it luck if you want, but you know, the person who's going to get ahead faster is a person who's putting all these feelers out there. And, you know, if you create 20 different potential ways to get discovered, yeah, you might still get discovered walking down the street, but that's one of the 20 things you got going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you just focus on going to an open mic and that's it, well, guess what? There's no comedy club owners walking into an open mic going, hey, is there anyone at this bar open mic? You know what I mean? Like, I, you know, oh, hey, his name's Kidder. Hey, you want to go be on SNL next week?
Exactly. Yeah.
No one's doing that shit. You know what I mean? So you like even SNL, no one's going to find me in LA for SNL. You want to do SNL, you really got to start putting and planting those seeds in New York.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? That's, I'm not saying if you're from LA, you can't be on SNL. Obviously, I'm not saying that.
Right. No,
you have to, you know, be planting these seeds, and you have to, you know, yes, you got to be best thing about open mics. And I don't even do a lot of open mics. I'm trying to do the open mics for the audition mics, the comedy clubs, but just a regular open mic, these that they have, I don't do a lot of them, because for me, what I feel that I get out of them the most when I do go is meeting a handful of new people that are new to me. that I've never met before. And I take advantage of that. Hey, let me follow you on Instagram. Hey, you know, and then like a few other things and be like, start listening to some of their shit. Oh, they got a YouTube channel. Let me listen to some of their stuff. Oh, so let me shoot them a tag if they like it or not. You know what I mean? I hear a lot of people's stuff and I'll come up with at least one tag. If I'm listening to your 10-minute set, I'll come up with something and I'll shoot it to you. Some people get offended by that. Some people love it. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know what? It's just a way for me to show you some respect that I'm listening to you.
Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you thought enough to listen to somebody's set, that's awesome. And then on top of it, to say, hey, here's a tag, you know, if you take it or leave it, but you know, I thought enough of your material that I contributed to it.
Yeah, I do. If time and time again, there's so many comedians who don't listen to other comedians. This last week, I did this show at the Comedy Chateau here in LA. The comedian who was up before me, I always listen to the comedian before me. I listen to their full set. Like I know what I'm doing. I should know what I'm doing. I shouldn't be going, oh, what joke am I doing? When you're at a comedy club, at that point, you're at a level where you need to deliver your best shit and be ready. And I listen to the comedian before me. Why? Because I always go up and try to say something that calls back a joke that they delivered to the room. One, to me, it shows respect for the previous comic. Two, it's a free joke. Are you kidding me? It's
and the crowd loves it.
The crowd loves it, dude. Yeah. And it's a good way to get a good foot in the door with the crowd that doesn't know you. So this last week, I'm wearing that weird shirt with the cat and shark on it. I got my big afro. I got it fluffed as far as it can go. I look like a man like Labradoodle. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy gets up there, the comedian, I've never met him before. I've never seen him before. I don't even know his name, you know, no disrespect, but he wasn't, you know, too nice to me anyway. So whatever, it doesn't matter. But he's getting up talking about how when he was a kid, you know, he was introduced to a dojo and he took karate and he walked in and karate was spelled with a C. And I thought that was hilarious. Like a karate spelled with the C. And he proceeded with a line of jokes about being at this dojo and the belts not being different colors. They were all blue and you went up based on the fade of the blue. And it was hilarious. The crowd loved it. So he goes off stage. The host introduces me. I come up on stage with this big afro, this ridiculous shirt. And I just start shadow boxing. I shadow box for about 30 seconds. There's music playing, shadow boxing. I do a few kicks. I'm just kind of, my hair's obviously, you know, I turn my head, my hair, you know, it's all over the place. And I'm just shadow boxing. The crowd is losing their mind. Like they're laughing. They think it's hilarious. It's probably a combination of the shirt, the fro, and the shadow boxing. I don't know. It was awesome. The crowd was amazing that night. And I turned to the crowd and I said, thank you to the host. Let's get that energy up. The previous comic was great. And then I forget his name. His name was whatever. It was like Andrew or something like that. I was like, Andrew, man, that's awesome, man. We should fight it out, man. I just got out of my kung fu class, kung fu with a C, and you know, and the whole crowd lost their shit, dude. It was just stupid, absolutely absurd. It's not a joke I'm going to take with me to my next set because I'm just tagging off of something he said.
It's in the moment.
Yeah. And it's not, to me, it's not even that funny, but with everything together, the crowd loved it. But the point is listen to the previous comic, dude, and say something about it. You might hear that they're talking about their favorite, you know, their favorite pet is their fish. And you're like, oh my God, I love fish. And you go up on stage and tag a joke tag their joke about your favorite fish, you know what I mean? And make it stupid. And then people will laugh and then get into your pedophile joke. I don't know.
You know? Great stuff, man. Chris Kidder, I appreciate you talking to me on this. Real quick, just tell everybody where they could follow you, find you, and all that good stuff.
It's funny. Thanks, Don. No, it's funny you brought that up because just had a discussion this morning with some good friends of mine. I don't know if it's my pronunciation. People ask me, what's your Instagram? Hey, can I follow you on Instagram? Hey, man, that was great. Can I follow you on Instagram? Yeah, sure. Follow me on Instagram at the Chris Kidder. That's THE and then Chris and then Kidder. Like, haha, you're kidding me. That's generally what comes out of my mouth.
Right.
And people are like, is it the like DEE or is it the like PEE? I'm like, the hell is wrong with people? The THE. And then my buddy this morning says, oh, but they probably think it's the like THEE. And I go, what the? This isn't Shakespeare or the Bible. This is not Old English. Like, what the hell are you talking? No one says the Chris Kidder, like THEE. It's just, he goes, oh, you mean the. I mean,
Chris
is that
Kidder.
what we is that what we resorted to? Like, I gotta say the Chris Kidder. I guess so. Like the Chris Kidder. So the Chris Kidder on everything: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, my YouTube channel. I think is the Chris Kidder as well, or it might just be Chris Kidder. But whatever. Like, haha, you're such a kidder. People always spell that KITTER. I don't know why. Like, I didn't say kidder. It's kidder. Like, oh, you're kidding me.
There you go. The Chris Kidder or the Chris Kidder. You can find them on Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. And what are you doing after this? You're gonna go to Starbucks? What do you do? What are you doing next?
You know what's funny is I don't go to that Starbucks anymore, and it's local and it's a drive-through. My wife said I'm banned from that one. I did take a break from Starbucks for a while, and then, like, now I go back to. I should own stock. I think I spend $400 a month on Starbucks drinks. But no Starbucks. I had my Starbucks fill this morning. No, you know what? I have a huge show this Sunday at the Comedy Store on the main stage. I'm excited. It's my first big show there with Daryl Hammond from SNL, Dean Del Rey, Jimmy Shin, and Tom Arnold, dude. Like, I'm like, wow, dude. I'm gonna be with some big hitters. But I have to go get a step and repeat. Do you know what a step and repeat is?
No, what is it?
It's like that big banner you see on the red carpet.
Oh, yeah.
With all the sponsors and shit.
Right.
So I was asked today to go pick that up for that show on Sunday because the person who's normally going to go get it, they can't get out of work in time. So I'm like, all right, I'll go do it. So that's what I'm going to do. And then probably, beat up my kids a little bit. I don't know.
Dude, you're awesome, man. I appreciate you. We got to get you back on, man. You are a wealth of knowledge and a lot of fun, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, next time we'll do we'll talk for 3 hours.
Yeah, man. Take care, brother. Chris,
thank you.
The Chris Kidder, everybody.
The Chris Kidder. All right, love you guys. Bye.
Peace, man.